Welcome to Tactical Tuesday, everybody.
Welcome, guys. I'm just going to adjust this because I ended up sitting down lower. There we go. Welcome, guys. Today is our fun Ask Us Anything. I tell you, I'm a little afraid because of all the joking that went on after we did our first one about all the things that people are going to ask us this time. So, Ryan Aykroyd, I'm especially concerned about you. So just watch yourself, Sean Carney. Anyways, guys, so yeah, let's go. First, New Brunswick. Yeah.
When are you coming back? When are you coming back?
You know, Ryan, I don't know if Melanie told you, but I was like this close to booking a ticket to coming out on June 4th. I just couldn't make it happen. I just couldn't. But I was so tempted.
What's there to do there, Ryan? Like, why would we want to go back? I'm just curious.
Yeah, what's going on in New Brunswick there, Ryan?
I don't know. Like New Brunswick?
Nothing amazing. Okay, guys. So today is Ask Us Anything. So here's the deal. You can ask us anything, literally, if it's personal, if it's real estate related, if it's opinion related. You know, the beauty of our Ignited group, I love that there are some that, you know, will question. Because if you just take everything that's handed to you, you're going to get a whole lot of bad advice. You have to understand where it's coming from and why. So if we ever say anything, and, you know, I love, you know, the debates that we have about multifamily versus single family, or different areas, provinces, different ways of doing financing. It's all personal, guys. Totally up to us, up to you.
And you can have multiple correct answers to the same question. I mean, the ways one person does it, or one couple does it, or one company does it, doesn't mean it has to be done that way. It can be done multiple ways. So that's the beauty of getting answers from multiple people, is you might get different answers, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that somebody's wrong and somebody else is right.
Hey, Cheryl, from YouTube. So I always love it when I see the little YouTube icon pop up. So one thing I'm going to say too, guys, is that, you know, we are inundated with people asking us, hey, do you know this person? Hey, do you know that person? Different coaches, different programs, different, you know, can we learn something from all of them? Most probably. You know, we took every single free seminar that we could possibly find. You know, there's always an ask at the end, and that's okay. Some people get upset about that. I never got upset about it. This is their business model. They have to make money. They've given me so much value in the meantime. And if I can afford to do it, I will. But if I can't, well, hey, I'm grateful that there's other people that can afford it, and that I got some free information. So don't be upset at them for doing it. But I do have a caution. You know, more and more and more. Oh my goodness, it's driving me a little bit batty. We're getting people asking us, hey, do you know this person or that person? Or do you know this program or that program? And we don't know them all because there's so many popping up. But I can tell you one thing. I'm telling you right now, if you're looking at a program, if you're looking at a coach or anything, please find someone that's been doing it for at least 10 years. Please. Don't be, people are popping up with courses all over the place. And you know what? They might have some great things to say. They might have some great advice. They might have some great systems. They might have great stuff. But listen, if they haven't been in it 10 years or more, then they haven't proven themselves beyond the norm yet. Most people last in that 5 to 7 year range. So if they're in that 5 to 7 year range, and they're still standing, they're just normal. They haven't proven that they have a system that's tried and true yet. So please be careful with that. Please, please, please. So anyways.
And thanks, guys, for saying hello as you come on, letting us know where you're from. I've seen Chris. St. Albert, Ottawa, Whitecourt, Leduc, New Brunswick, all across the country.
So this could be Sean MP.
Great to see you guys.
Mortgage broker. This could be Kevin Russell, who's here in St. Albert from Ontario doing a flip. Could be so many. Oh, Calgary. There we go.
Calgary, Toronto. There we go. Of course,
we've got Melanie. All right. Yes, Cheryl, awesome point. It helps if the coach is in the same market as you are. Absolutely. Yeah, huge difference. We actually have a question. One of our Ask Me Anything questions that we got today is going to address just that, Cheryl, is all the different markets and how different it can be in each place. So
tonight, guys, as we're talking, as we're answering maybe a couple pre-prepared questions, or we're starting to answer some of your questions as we go through the material tonight, if something pops into your mind, you say, hey, I've always wondered about this, or how does that fit with this over here, or you get a question, throw it in the feed, guys, and we're going to try to answer everybody's question over the next 45 minutes or so.
Okay, guys. So number one question. Hey, Tina, Dwight, everybody, Melissa, nice to see you guys. So number one question, or our first question, I guess say, is we're getting a lot of questions about private lending. Now, we've got questions about private lending from everything from, can you match me up with someone to, take my money? That one we get probably, on a weekly basis, I would say, to, how do I vet someone that I'm going to give my money to? What kind of questions can I ask? And what kind of security can I ask for? So I wanted to address that because, private lending is an amazing way to be able to invest in real estate without having to do any work. How many of us love the theory of real estate, love the overall concepts of it? We know it's good. We know it's smart, but we also know that our lives don't have time for it right now, and that we are about max in our lives. So private lending is a way that you can benefit from real estate without having to do all of that time in. So
it's a way to get a higher rate of interest on your money if you are going to lend it out to somebody. Is the risk higher? Potentially. How can you keep that risk lower? Well, there's several ways you can keep that risk lower. But you have that ability to make a higher interest rate than if you just left your money in the bank, or you put it under a mattress, or you even sometimes investing in, we invested in some crypto currency a few months ago, and my goodness, it was a bad time because it's gone down to a third of the value that it was then. So these types of things,
I love it. That's hilarious.
Tiff's hearing that for the first time, but these types of things, guys,
we did it knowing though with play money, like we did it to see, like, let's do it so we get our feet wet, so that if and when we put some real money into it, then we know what the heck we're doing or whatever. It felt a little bit of the market.
Yeah, a little test, just for fun. But that's my point. The point is when we invest our money, we want it to be secure as possible. We want to make the highest rate of interest as possible, the highest ROI that we can as possible.
Okay, so let's do this as a group exercise, guys. Let's throw in the chat, what do you ask for from your private lenders? I'm going to tell you what I ask for. Corey's going to tell you what he asks for, because yes, indeed, it is different. And then you guys throw in the chat what you ask for, because here's the thing. We grow together. And so if we know what, if we can learn from each other, let's share. And for those of you new to Fearless, we are never the type that, withholds a recipe from you or gives you the recipe for our amazing Caesar salad, but holds back the one magic ingredient. We are open, guys. If we all rise, a rising tide raises all boats. So let's rise together. What do you ask for? Okay, so myself, I ask any question that I need to know at that time from that person. So, for example, if it's somebody that I don't know well, and I don't know how their past projects are, maybe I'll ask them for some references and ask them for specific walkthrough of how their past projects went, how the numbers worked out. And let me tell you, it doesn't have to mean that they got home runs every single time, but I want to know how the numbers worked out and how they dealt with the things that
sometimes
happened.
It's better if they didn't have a home run all the
learning.
time, because they learned how to deal with some of the negative things that happen. They've maybe overcome some of the expectations they had and they didn't quite meet. So how do they deal with that? And that's actually quite important.
So one investor that we talked to recently, she well, not too recently, actually probably a year and a half ago, but I said to her, so have you ever had a deal go bad where the projections that you were hoping for didn't come through, and you had investors on the deal? And she said, absolutely, I did. She said, I had one really not great deal. She's like, it wasn't terrible, but we didn't hit projection. I said, so what did you do? Because of course there's no guarantee on our money when we private lend, right? We hope to get a certain amount, but what if we don't? And she says, well, thank goodness I had other projects going on and I took the benefits, my share of those, and I paid out those investors. And you know, you could talk to them if you wanted. I can give you their name and number and they can attest to the fact that certainly we did. And you know, to me, I'm like, great, good. It's a person of their word. To me, that's quite important. So what do you guys do? Oh, hey, Leona and DJ. I love that you're together. That's awesome. So what do you guys do?
So let me throw in my 2 cents, okay, when it comes to private lending and you know, when it comes to giving, whether it's private lending or whether it's giving somebody money in a joint venture or whether it's whatever money that we're going to invest, this sounds like a totally non-technical answer, okay? But I think it's extremely important is you have to have a good gut feel. Okay, so what I mean by
funny
that,
from the non-emotional guy.
totally, and but what I mean by that is you know, when you're going to buy something and you or invest in something, and something just doesn't quite feel right, you maybe don't feel quite as secure as you should have, or maybe there's corners that were cut right at the last minute when you're going to sign the paperwork, or you know, all of those things that can happen, and you just get a bad gut feel. It's at that point where you really got to check to make sure you're doing the right thing. Because to me, gut feel is extremely important when it comes to buying a property, investing, private lending, when it goes to joint venturing, when it goes to putting a tenant in your property. You really, really should rely on that. And, you know, it's not a technical answer, but it's a very important,
especially when the gut feel is
bar
saying no.
to look at.
Because lots of times we're overly trusting and overly easy, but you know, ask those tough questions and listen for the answer and make sure they're answering. Make sure they're actually giving you an answer, not running around with a big long answer that you're like, wait a second, they didn't answer my question. And the way I do that is I write down my question so that I can write down the answer beside it. And if I find that I can't figure out what the answer is that they gave me, then I'm like, wait a second, they're just distracting me. I don't even know what their answer is. So let me tell you what else. And Karina, I saw Karina. Hang on, where did she go? There we go. Karina is in Edmonton. She's doing amazing things here. How long have you been in? She wants to know. Do you have skin in the game? She wants to know. Can I see some pictures? How involved are they? You know, all of these are good questions. And here's the thing. There's no right or wrong answer. Any question that you have, it's your money. You don't have to feel bad about asking questions. I ask for credit. I want to know what people's credit is. I know that's personal. I know that's intrusive. If they're not okay with it, I am totally fine with that. I'm not offended either, or like, oh, they've got something to hide. No. Like, they don't necessarily have something to hide. Maybe they just aren't an open book. That's okay. But guess what? My dealings are with people that have open books because I need to have that assurance. So for me, if I want to see someone's credit, that is paramount. And, you know, including it in your credibility packages, your presentations, that sort of thing really just adds that little bit of credibility that they haven't even asked for perhaps, but it makes a big, huge difference. And people say, isn't that too personal? Hell yeah. I'm sorry. Yes, that is very personal. But so is my money. So is my hard-earned money. So is my parents, you know, retirement. So are my kids' educations. So are my vacations, you know, that money could be going to instead. That's personal too. So don't be shy, guys. Ask the questions that you need to ask. And most importantly, if it doesn't feel right, or if they seem super, super fantastically overly promising, run for the hills. Okay, because there's going to be a lot of people that come out of the woodwork in the next little while. There's going to be a lot of money that's needed. A lot of it is going to need to pay for things that were planned ahead of time, changing markets. You're going to see a lot more of this coming out here in the recent times. So be prepared. So, all right.
Good. So a little bit on
question number
lending.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. What
I noticed
can you
a question,
ask?
I just didn't want to miss it, was about boot camp.
Yes, I did see that too.
Is there a boot camp before the busy summer season starts? So the easy way to answer that is no. So our next boot camp, guys, we don't have dates for it yet, but we will likely no.
Mid-September? Mid-September,
Yes,
I think it's like the 14th-ish or something.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
We're looking-
16, 17-ish.
Okay.
That's
we do
the
have dates.
preliminary dates.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll lock those in, and it'll be announced. Don't worry, you'll hear about it as that is locked in, and we definitely know what we're doing as far as boot camp. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I love it. Kevin finally figured out that St. Albert's 2 hours behind Ontario, right? Actually, yeah. It's funny because I have to do the opposite, but I can't wait to see your flip, Kevin. Okay, so guys, question number 2 that we got.
Remember to throw in questions if you have any, guys.
And Kevin, this is something that you have to deal with on a regular basis. So we'd love to hear your input because Kevin's got projects. Kevin and Dean have projects all over Canada, from Cochrane to like all over the place. Bathurst, I think, Calgary, Edmonton, St. Albert, whatever. So what do you do when you're looking for a contractor? So we had a question today that said, like, hey, how do I find contractors? I can't drag them to every property that I look at because it's not fair, and they're not going to want to come out with me anymore because if I don't buy that property. And so yes, fair point, good point. You don't take them on your initial viewing of a property, okay? You do that, you're going to make enemies out of your contractors pretty darn quick. But what you do is you take them, so you go and you look for your properties. You put an offer. You're only going to have,
We
you're only
usually
gonna
suggest,
take them.
yeah, we usually suggest bringing your contractor and having them come while the house is getting the inspection done. That's kind of the easy way because you already have a time booked off. The homeowners are likely not going to be there. Your inspector is going through doing the inspection, but they can't quote on certain things. They'll give you a general idea as to what certain things might cost. But if you want an actual quote from a contractor, that usually is a good time to bring them in while you're getting your inspection done.
So I know sometimes we're from out of area and we have our contractors have to travel for a little bit. You can also kind of do a video walkthrough and they can give you a ballpark. They can't give you exact, but they can give you a ballpark. So, here's a picture of the furnace. Here's a picture of the electrical. Here's a picture of the plumbing. Does any of this need to be replaced? That kind of thing. It's this many square feet. Flooring, what does that look like? Painting, what does that look like? So they have the numbers for square footage. So here's the thing though, is it's very dependent on your area. So what we pay in, Alberta is different than BC is different than Ontario is different than the Maritimes. So you really do have to be specific. So video walkthroughs, pictures. But here's the point is you're going to do that only once you have an accepted offer. You're only going to bring in your contractors after that point. Before that, that's when they come in, they view it, and they give you an actual quote. Before that, it's all those intangibles like pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff that'll help you out. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't waste their time or else you're going to have a real rough time keeping those people on your team. So good point. You said that in your post, and absolutely.
As Kevin brought out, I don't know if you want to bring it up, but it's difficult to find these people at first. And so that's why we always suggest using an investor-focused realtor because that's a resource you're going to have that
team.
They've called in painters before. They have used property managers. They've had whatever it is that you're going to need. They've likely dealt with those people and would probably most likely have contacts for you. So if you're buying from a wholesaler, you're buying from an investor-focused realtor. In those cases, you're likely going to have a resource that can supply you with a lot of those names. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, so that's Ask Us Anything Contractors. And last question. I love this question. It's so funny. So the question is basically, how do you guys work together? Your husband and wife, so your life partners.
You should read it exactly as somebody posted it.
I don't even have it ready, but okay. But yeah, the question is basically like, how do you guys continue to work together, be life partners together, all those things when, how does that work? So how does it work? And it's funny because when I read him that question, we kind of both looked at each other and I'm like, don't say a word, don't answer it. Let's answer it live.
How have you managed to be working partners and life partners all this time?
Yeah. So it might sound sarcastic, but I'm serious.
And still look gosh darn cute on camera.
You don't have to read that part.
Talking about you.
Clearly. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So guys,
the
good question. So we've been asked that question several times is, how do you stay married when you work together. And this kind of goes with any business. Real estate investment is a business.
So how many of you guys are working with a life partner? Put it in the chat. Put a thumbs up. Put a high five. Put something. Throw it in the chat, guys. You know we haven't seen for a while are heart showers too. I know.
Well, we can't see them on here.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, StreamYard doesn't show them.
Oh, so. Okay. Hey, oh my goodness, Kate Breton. There we go. Stranger, nice to see you. Okay,
so let's answer the question. Okay,
so yeah, Mike and Julie, Mel and Rachel, Jupita, Lisa. Okay, perfect. So we are working together. We're husband and wife. We are also business partners. There's a few things that over the years, because we've been doing this for working together because in our previous business too, so 25 years probably.
Well, pretty much since we got married, yeah. The first 2 years maybe we
97 didn't, since October 97, yeah. So
25 years.
So there's a few things that we had to learn and put in place. For one, we had to say things like, okay, there are no we cannot talk about work at dinner. You have to put some sort of boundaries in. Okay, so maybe it's dinner time.
We've
maybe
talked about it at dinner, like we
occasionally you have to.
Occasionally it happens,
but as a rule,
for the most part, we try to leave work at work, and that's not the easiest thing to do. But if you're trying to do that, that could definitely help.
Yeah. So we put some rules in place, and that's the bottom line, guys. So if you're working with a life partner, we highly recommend putting some rules in place. That might be that you only talk about business at breakfast, or maybe you don't talk about it when you're having a meal together, or you have a weekly meeting so that you get everything out at once. Sometimes it's hard to switch between, oh, honey, do you want to have a glass of wine on the deck? And
sure.
Why the heck did you not get that contract or that quote done, or whatever it might be, right? It's hard to switch between that and
why is that property still vacant?
Not right, and not have hard feelings when you're switching back to husband and wife. So you need to put boundaries in place.
Absolutely, and along with that, as Kevin brought out, him and Nadine handle different parts of the business, and that's probably the biggest thing that has helped us. Is I take care of, when it was come to real estate investment, I took care of the buying, the number crunching, the negotiations, anything to do with buying the property, anything to do with selling the property, and then we have different departments. Tiff took care of the tenants. I don't want to make it sound like I did all of this and then Tiff just did this, because she's done way more than I have.
I've been working for 20 years on it. He got to do the buying and be done.
Yeah. So but even when it comes to properties and stuff like that, like some of that, taking care of the maintenance. I mean, you've done that, I've done that, but we've tried to.
We have departments.
What's the word?
Compartmentalized?
Yeah, compartmentalize the business so that we each have divisions of it, that sort of thing. Oops.
Okay, so first, boundaries. Set your boundaries. Have your personal time, your family time, okay? But also set aside time to talk about things so that you can't just say, oh, we're husband and wife, we can't talk about business unless we're at work or whatever. No. You need to talk about these things too, but set some boundaries, some clear boundaries that you both are comfortable with. Stick with it. Secondly, like Kevin said, you know what? We have different departments, and here's the key on that one. So we said we had different departments too. And Kevin, I know you and Nadine are amazing. So you guys probably have this way figured out far before we did. But we had our own departments. But then we each felt that we had a say in each other's department anyway. So he might say to me like, well, how come this property isn't rented? How come? So what are you doing for it? Do you have, can I read your ad? Is it any good? Or, what incentives you're offering it? Whatever. He wouldn't really actually say those things so pointedly. He's wiser than that, I think. But, and I might be on him asking him questions. At the end of the day, yeah, can we get feedback on each other's? Yeah, this is my business too. This is my livelihood. But at the end of the day, he's the final say on anything to do with numbers, sales related stuff, all of that kind of stuff, strategy. That's his department. I can have input, but at the end of the day, he gets last say. And I know that. Same thing the other way. In my department, he can give me his opinion all he wants. If I don't agree with it, I get last say. And we had to respect, again, those boundaries in saying, you know, if you trust me and I trust you to be doing each other's jobs, our respective jobs, then someone has to be steering that ship. And it can't be two people, because that's just going to cause problems.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And when it comes to all of this too, it's just remembering that, like, what's more important? What's more important in life? For me, Tiffany's more important than
Really?
money. Tiffany's more important than
Golf?
work.
Golf?
Okay, let's not get carried away here.
Okay.
Just kidding. But it's all about just remembering what's important. And like, we might have a vacant property for 6 months because Tiff hasn't filled it or something like that. But like, should we be fighting about that? Is that more important? No. So, money comes and goes, properties come and go, businesses can come and go. But hopefully your life partner, your husband, your wife, whatever it is there to stay. And so, you want to do what you can to make sure that relationship is stronger than your business relationship, I think.
Yeah. So really at the end of the day, we make time for our business. You have to make time for your business, but we also make time for our personal time, and nothing gets in on that. So that definitely helps. Has it been perfect?
She knows not to call me when I'm golfing, right? Like, especially, no, not to call me about work stuff.
Okay. But I did a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "I'm golfing right now. I can't help you." Well, and I'm like, "Wow, are you friggin' kidding me? Are you serious right now?"
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah. I mean, it's not perfect.
And you remember, it's not going to be perfect, right? You're still going to have.
I'm married to him. Come on. No, but at the end of the day, you learn lessons. We actually, I quit in our first business. It was so funny because he came into our office. I was doing the office side of things.
You tell this story all the time.
All the time. Anyways, so I quit on him because he came in and he's like, well, this isn't done, that's not done, because he was in the business prior to me. Then we bought it off of the old company and I came in and joined him, but he'd already worked there, so he knew how everything was working. He's like, what about this, what about this, what about that? And I was like, yeah, I'm getting to it eventually, but there's this. And he's like, well, I used to do it all. I'm like, all right, you go right ahead. So I quit.
That was in 1997. That was 25 years ago.
That was. Yeah. And you know what? It was good because it showed him like, oh yeah, she is doing something, but also it showed me what happened when I left for 3 days. That wasn't fun either to come back to. So anyways, have we had issues? Absolutely. But whatever, you figure it out. Okay.
Yes, Kat.
So, yes, good question. And yeah, lots of good stuff here, guys. So guys, that's Ask Me Anything. That's all the questions that we have that were pre-submitted. So we're going to leave it there. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat right now. If not, we're going to bid you goodbye. We're going to be back next week. We've got next week is a guest host. So it's Ignited.
We won't be back.
We won't be back. So it's an Ignited guest host.
We will still have our Tactical Tuesday as normal.
Yeah. So Amy Lam will be hosting along with some Igniteds as well, talking about, so recently, Amy put together with her partners a land development deal where they are now building or developing for a 17-unit. Would you call that a skyscraper? What do you call that?
No.
What do you call that? Apartment building? Anyways, 17 floor, not units.
Floor. Okay.
Floors. High rise. That's the word. Thank you. Through land development. Okay. So she also just negotiated in Toronto's market. So the land development is in Calgary. In Toronto's market, she just negotiated a full VTB mortgage. So first mortgage, full mortgage. So guys, come and meet Amy and her guests. They're going to be talking about
yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, how these projects have all come together. And we are going to be, where are we going to be?
We are going to be dirt biking.
Dirt biking, yeah. So
looking forward to that.
Yeah, we're going to be doing every 6 weeks or so, we're going to be doing an Ignited roundtable. So a guest host from Ignited talking to other Igniteds about what kind of deals they're doing, how, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, stuff that's happening right now.
Oh, that's okay, Cheryl. You can put it in. You have one in, no problem. All right, yeah, go Amy, right? All right. High rise. Thank you. She is on fire, right, Julie? Okay, Cheryl, I'll wait just another couple seconds here. If you want to throw it in the chat, you're welcome to do that. We'll hit it if we can. And yeah, if not, we'll see you next week. Actually, do I have any other announcements? Oh, the other thing is that she's doing this all from afar. I think I said that. She's in Yellowknife. Her deals are in Toronto.
Talking about Amy.
And Calgary.
Yeah.
Amy. Yeah. All right, guys. We will see you next week. Igniteds, we'll see you over in Laser in just... Oh, Amy asked a question. Oh, yeah. I did see that. Sorry, Amy. Okay, hang on.
Okay, go back up to the near
there
the
it
top.
is. It's right here.
Okay.
Okay, this is Amy as a borrower. Yeah, it's a good question. There have been 2 instances where personal info was given. Lots of time spent talking with the lender. Then on date of funding, they tell you that the funds aren't available. Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of due diligence should a borrower do?
Hmm.
Holy Hannah, talk about stressful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would suck. Were you working with a broker in that instance, or were you working with a bank, or was this just a private lend? Yeah, I mean, you want to make sure that you have recommendations. How have other people used this borrower before? Have they run into issues before? You know, these are kind of things that you can start to do a little research on. You know, a lot of our Ignited, sometimes, Amy, you can throw it into the Ignited Facebook group and see if any of them have recently used this specific borrower.
So it wasn't with a broker.
No,
it was with private. It was just private lend.
Yeah.
So for sure, I mean, it would be ideal if they've done, you know, if there's a reference on them, but lots of times we're not going to get that. So, you know, at the end of the day, Amy, people putting money where their mouth is at the end of the day where I feel you're going to get people committed. So that might be tenants, you know, they have to put down, you know, a deposit towards first month's rent. They lose that deposit if they walk away. If it's a private lender, there should be a deposit amount. They should have to show their seriousness ahead of time before that money is funded, and that should be non-refundable. What? Go ahead.
Amy just says both times due to banking issues.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, interesting. So, you know, maybe if somebody is, you know, in that instance, it might be smart to have the money sitting at the lawyer's office. Something like that, maybe 2 weeks before you're needing it, you know, that sort of thing, so that, you know, you at least know that it's there, that the banking issues have been taken care of, that it's sitting there waiting for the, you know, the closing date sort of thing to actually come when you need the money. So maybe getting it ahead of time.
Like, so there's nothing wrong with asking them to see where they're getting the funds from. So there's nothing wrong with saying, so you wouldn't say, okay, so just in case you back out or just in case something happens, you could just say, so, you know, next step in our process is we're going to need proof of funds from you. We're going to need, you know, a deposit of this amount from you to cover our, you know, fees and get the file open at the lawyer's office. We're going to need, you know, a letter from your lawyer saying that things are going, whatever it might be. So you can make it part of your process. Don't make it the only thing, because if you make it like, okay, now I need to see that you've got money in your bank. Yeah. It can certainly be like, oh, well, you're a jerk.
If it's just kind of, hey, okay, so that's great, we're going to do this deal.
Perfect. Here's what I need from you.
Here's the list of things that we get from everybody that needs this done. And, you know, that could be the proof of funds. That could be, you know, yeah, exactly what Tiff just said. I don't need to repeat it, but just kind of part of the process. Here's a list of things that we need you to take care of.
Yes. So yeah. Okay. There you go. Nicole's saying like a screenshot of what's in their bank account or a HELOC showing what's available. It doesn't have to be technical. It doesn't have to be a letter from their bank, but it should be okay for them to say, hey, this is where the money's coming from. This is where we expect it. So, and I do know some people that will keep a line of credit themselves just for those kind of shortfalls, just to bridge over their own. And Amy, hopefully, if it was just banking issues, then they should both have been able to fund even if late. I don't know how it worked out, but yeah. And again, I'm not afraid to ask anyone for anything that makes me feel comfortable. That would suck and stressful. It's even fine to say, hey, listen, we have had a couple lenders that walked away or couldn't come through in the end. So this is what we've added as part of our process. Yeah. We need to see da 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 da. And yeah, nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it would have sucked, Amy. Man, talk about stress, right? Talk about stress.
Julie, good question. What systems did you put in place that were most effective in helping you scale your real estate business? So there's a lot of system things that helped us, spreadsheets that helped us. You guys have access to all of those in Ignited. But I think the number one thing, if I was to answer that question, and, it's not a technical system again, but what we did is we just continually were consistent in starting conversations about real estate. And that's what led to people asking us questions about real estate. And that's what led to us partnering with people in real estate investment. And so that's what helped us to then scale when it comes to real estate investment. Because as we've told the story many times, we didn't put in any money. We put in $27,000 out of the 100 plus properties that we purchased in a 3-year period. And so that money came from other people. And so those were the systems that we put into place, was just being regular. And at the time it was going to real estate meetups, going to real estate meetings on a monthly basis. And we would kind of split up too. And, I would go to Vancouver meetings and Tiffany would go to Toronto meetings. We'd both go to Edmonton and Calgary meetings. And we were just getting to know the investing world of investors, and not only meeting others, but becoming known in those circles as well. And so that's what helped us to scale when it came to finding partners.
So, and Julie, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a different track. And I think what you might be talking about is things like, CRMs or, communication tools or, systems like that is what I'm thinking. And so where I'm going to go with that is Corey I don't even know what the website was, but it was like web.3 or something, tellus.web.3, like way back when websites were really hard to find and do. But it was a very simple system where those that were interested in investing went to one spot. And in that one spot, there was very clear instruction. And it said, number 1, if you're interested, do this. Number 2, do this. Number 3, do this. It was very simple instructions. It wasn't very much, but what that did was filtered out for us those that were not willing to A, follow our systems, B, be detail oriented. Corey needs someone who's detail oriented to deal with. That's why we don't deal in the same circles. But so it was go there. So we didn't field phone calls. We didn't field emails. We just, here's the information you need if you're interested. It went to one spot. It was a one pager. From that page, there was a, we will need this from you. We will need that from you. Here's the information on the property. If you are still interested, now send this form to us. And then we got the email. And that saved us a ton of time, energy, emotion. What that also started doing was creating an email list for us. Again, we didn't mean to do that, but it just happened. We started ending up with an email list. Then we started keeping in touch. That was our good news reports that we always talk about, where we just would be like, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, bought another property. Here's why. It's near this. It's near that. Here's the tenant we put in that one. Good news reports constantly. And it got to the point where we really didn't even have to send out to our list anymore, because people who missed the last one, they'd be like, okay, we'd send out a property. We'd have one person take it. Someone else would come along and say, okay, I'll take it. We'd be like, oh, sorry, it's gone. And they'd be like, darn it, I waited a day too long or an hour too long. Now we say, okay, well, what are you looking for? Let's talk about what you liked about that deal. Now we'll go one-on-one with that person. We've got a personal relationship with them. And if they fit with us, we would then go shopping for them. And what that ended up doing was we had not only the properties that were coming to us generically, but then we were shopping for specific properties. And it was like just
for specific partners.
And we were able to just really diversify really quickly that way.
And so back in the time we were using Microsoft Outlook, and we just created, contacts in there and had a group that, we would send to these 15 people or these 30 people. These are people that are interested in investing with us if we get the right property. And, you know, here's a link to our website. We have a new property up there. And like Tiff said, it was so basic. Like, there wasn't even a
Doesn't have to
picture
be
on it. It
complicated,
was
guys.
literally a spot to go, which had PDF downloads on it. And that's all it was back then.
So now, guys, it's easy to do. Like,
Yeah.
you can do that and have a second. If you can't do it on Fiverr, someone can do it for you for really cheap, probably under $100. But yeah, just having a method of communication was a big thing. So
Yeah.
hopefully that answered your question, Julie. You can clarify if not. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. So easy. We got it easy. See, last time I did this by myself, and I got some tougher questions about taxes and U.S. investing and
I'm
all
glad
that
I
stuff,
wasn't here.
right? Okay, guys, we're gonna love you and leave you. Ignite is supposed to see you over in 15 minutes or 20 minutes actually in laser. And we shall see the rest of you guys next week.
And everybody come back next week for Amy.
For Amy, come and support
that's
Amy.
gonna be
Yeah,
exciting.
awesome stuff. Okay, guys,
All right.
have a great week. Take care.
See ya.
Cheers.